Everybody, welcome to Muscular Development's coverage of the Orlando Pro Judging. Joining us all the way from Orlando, he was there because you had to be there, Big Mike Cox. Joining me in the commentary, all the way from the United Kingdom, Giles Extra Tigery Thomas today. Yeah.
Glad to be here, fellas. Appreciate it.
Mike, were you planning on going this, Mike, or did you?
No,
I know we asked you at the last minute.
We plan on every year. We kind of plan ahead. So I always Orlando, Tampa, the Olympia if it's in Florida. But you get that giddiness still. When I was driving up here, you see all the people, the pro tan. You get in here, you smell the pro tan, and see the drawn out faces. Man, it's like Christmas in July.
So this is a different kind of show because it's held with the Orlando. I don't know what they call it, Fit Expo, Fit USA, something.
USA Fit, yeah.
USA Fit. So they had a big NPC show, but there's only one pro division, men's open bodybuilding, just like in the old days when we were youngsters, Mike and Giles.
It's beautiful, man. Like you get in there, and only 13 guys. They did work them, but it's so nice because you get out of prejudging. There's things open, the sun's still up, so it's nice. Oh, wow. Nice little break.
So talk us through it, Mike. Guys walk out on stage. What were your initial impressions?
On paper, when we saw the list, we thought, wasn't that competitive a show. But once they come out there and you see these guys in condition, it was just a very good lineup. However, Phil Clayhart was kind of one of the favorites that came out first, and he was humongous, Ron. Giles, you mentioned maybe Texas 2021. This was very close to that Texas 2021 physique Phil brought. Good. He was maybe a little flat through the pecs a little bit, maybe the glutes a little flat. But he brought his physique. He was full. He was hard. Legs looked like they came up a little bit as well. Legs weren't, before they little small. I don't want to say small, obviously, but his legs looked like they came up a little bit. I'm not sure who he feels working with right now, but whoever he is, it's a phenomenal combination. What is a must to take Hassan? Doubt it. But Phil really showed up. Now, going forward to that Masters Olympia, this guy's going to be a problem. He's already in shape, right? So he's probably only going to get better. Next guy that came out that really stood out was Stanimo. I have never seen Stanimo in person before. Not the widest guy, especially next to Phil, but he was just conditioned. He's a freak. Stanimo's a straight freak. Condition was on point. Glutes were in. Back was skinless. Presentation was pretty good. It's just, next to Hassan, who I'll get to in a minute, and Phil, he just kind of got lost a little bit. But, dude, Hassan, I don't know. Listen. From the minute he walked out, he posed like he was a champion. He had a look of confidence in his physique. I made a point of watching his stomach. He kept his stomach tight. Inner abs were great. Intercostals, obliques, everything was there. He doesn't have real big glutes. I know it kind of sounds weird that, we're talking about men's glutes, but he doesn't have huge glutes, but his glutes were in. Back was peeled. This was much better than Toronto. Like night and day different. That whole, no carbs, protein, and veggies thing, it works. But when he's in this kind of shape, man, he's a very formidable competitor.
Because Giles, we were talking in a preview about Phil, and we were kind of concerned that maybe he hadn't planned on doing this show, and the Masters is still a month away or more, right? No,
well, 8 weeks,
almost
6, 7,
8 weeks away. So the odds of him being at even close to 100% here, we were very, very skeptical of that. But Mike, you're saying he was close to 2021 Texas, which, everyone's got that one show.
Yeah.
You hit that peak perfectly one day, and they'll talk about that as your best show for the rest of your career. And that's the case with Phil. But you're saying if he was close to that, then he clearly must have planned for this. Otherwise, he'd look 8 weeks out.
He had to. Everything was on. Like, so you do a show, you kind of have a warm-up show, so to speak. So you're not as dry or you're not as conditioned. But, dude, he was on. He was fantastic. I'm not sure if Vancouver's in a couple of weeks, if he's going to do that. But he's ready. He's ready. He impressed the hell out of me today.
Yeah. I would assume I think Patty said on the comments yesterday, he's doing Tampa anyway. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
He lives. Land O'Lakes is right in that general area, isn't it?
Yeah, 20 minutes.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Ron, I think, because like I said, you and I were a bit skeptical. It's like, hang on a minute, if he's just jumping into this, is he just going to look like he's 6 to 8 weeks out? But I think there's 2 reasons why I think he's looking back to his kind of his 2021 form. I mean, 2022 wasn't a great year for him. I mean, he didn't do as well as he'd hoped, especially after he'd done so well in 2021. But I think there's 2 reasons why he looks so good right now, and I think he will look good for the Masters Olympia. Is one, he always says this might be his last year, so I think he's got that fire under his ass for that. And also, I think the Masters Olympia, with him being a guy over 40 that's still competitive in the Open and doing well in the Open, I think this is really, giving him a confidence boost as well, because he knows the main goal is the Masters Olympia. He's doing well in Open shows, and I think those two factors are the reasons why he's kind of looking so good. Because I think he's given it like okay, I've got the Masters Olympia, which potentially I could win. It might be my last year, so I may as well go completely all in, because you know what it's like when you're not 100% all in. And I think those 2 reasons are why he's really is bringing out the best in him. And I think we're going to see the best Clay Hart. And also, I actually think now he's really in a conversation for winning the Masters Olympia. I think it's before he was kind of like okay, this is like a 2nd through 4th guy. But I think now if he's looking like this at 8 weeks out, I think potentially, Kamal and Josh Renatowicz really will have their hands full in August.
So, So, Mike, one thing you talked about in the group chat or texting was Hassan. You know, obviously he lights out conditioning. Would you say this is the best condition you've ever seen him in?
By far, the best condition he's been in. By far, Ron. Quads are cross-straight, and everything from his color to his presentation. And again, like I mentioned, he just looked like the winner. When he walked out for that individual routine, he posed confidently, he hit his poses correctly, but he's got so much muscle, man. It's just, and again, Phil looks awesome, but when you got a guy like Hassan, and even though he's not the widest guy, right? He's very bubbly still. He's got kind of a bubbly look to him. But when he's in this condition, it's a freak show, man. And it's just, he's posing his front. He's kind of twisting a little bit when he does his front double bicep. And so he'll go from sucking up to squeezing down. And when he squeezes down, his waist just comes just like that. So if I'm not sure if somebody said something to him and do this, but it's working for him. How he's doing his posing now.
How much lighter do you think he is from the last show, Hassan?
Maybe, Charles, maybe 7 pounds or so. It's a noticeable difference. It's when he looks bigger though. You know what I mean? We know when you're really lean, you look bigger anyway. Yeah. He looks so big. And Phil's not a small guy, you know? And that's, I think, too, what hurts Stanimal so much is because those 2 guys are so densely packed. But Hassan has that Olympia kind of look to him, right? To where he can hold his own for maybe that, 8th, 9th, 10th spot in this kind of condition.
I said to Ron, I said they need to really bring him down, because if he can get, say, 7 pound off, and it looks like most of the weight has come off that midsection, yes, that's all his front poses sorted. Because his side poses, the midsection doesn't really matter, because he looks so huge in the side chest, the side tricep. If those front shots, because if his waist comes in, he's then got because his rear lat spread blew my socks off. I mean, I couldn't believe it. His radial bicep is always incredible, but when he gets that waist in, and he just hits that sweet spot with the right amount of body weight and the right amount of fullness and muscle. Like that's him every angle now. So like you said, he looks like the winner, because I think he probably looked in the front shots backstage and just thought, okay, then there's nothing really any of these guys can catch me on, because I know I'm going to be the biggest. I'm going to be the most conditioned. And he has got a pretty good shape when his waist is not too, sort of too distracting. But as soon as I saw that frontal bicep, because that's kind of the shot that's the first shot you hit. That's the first. So he really needs to have that waist nice and tiny and have no food in that area. And, because I know Chad probably tried to bring him in as big, and because he likes his guys big and freaky. But I think maybe they looked at the pictures and thought, okay, then. Because the thing is, even if he doesn't come in bursting full, he's still going to be the biggest guy up there. So you don't need to push him too hard with the fullness, because he's got that even relaxed. Even when I've seen him, like, when he's warming up in training footage, he just looks so ridiculously round. It's like you can't tell the difference. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And he's keeping his abs tight in every pose now, even the transition poses, right? I kept a little eye on that. He kept it in nice and tight, even the side tricep. Some guys kind of, you breathe a little bit in between. It was nice and tight. He was first to pose, last to pose. So everything, this is kind of maybe his so far best showing to date. Everything looks like it's just falling into place for him today.
Wow. Yeah. It's we talked about Giles, that he's gone through, this is his third coach that I know of. Maybe there's even more. He was with Aceto, looked pretty good. He won 2 shows last year working with AJ Sims, Cement Factory. Yeah. And he came in lighter, to me, more streamlined, kind of close to this look. And now he's with Chad. And I think Chad tried to bring him in, or they brought him in a little too full at the Toronto show. But this seems to be really the best look for him. This is probably super flat. I bet this is flat for him, but he's got so much thick, round, full muscle that nobody would know. And like Mike said, you look bigger when you got that. He's got that grain, that detail, that just super hard look. Everybody looks bigger when they can achieve that condition. So good job, Hassan. Good job, Chad. This was the right call. And Bill looks phenomenal, but Mike, right now, is Hassan just clearly in the lead as far as everyone's concerned?
I mean, listen, we're not going to sugarcoat. To me, he's clearly in the lead. But too, Ron, it's just Hassan just is consistent training as well. When we first saw him a couple of years ago, it was kind of like a diamond in the rough. If this guy ever got it together, he would be this. And we wait every year, and I think we put a lot of pressure on these guys. Why not now, right? With Lunsford, it should be now. We see what he did, but everybody can't do that, right? Everybody can't make that change. You have to take time. He's a family man. He's got a wife, kids, so it does take time. And this is kind of his body probably maturing as well. Getting older. I'm not sure how he's in his early 30s, I think, maybe.
30, I want to say 33.
Yeah, that's kind of like, yeah.
Hassan, I'm sure you said 33, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I know when he first came on the scene, he was late 20s. He was only, when we first saw him, Giles, he was only like 27, 28 at that time.
Incredible. I remember competing as a junior, and he was a monster even then.
Imagine that, junior. Jeez.
It's just a freak show, man. When
you see his training footage, you don't see him like going crazy in the gym. It's all very, and he just inflates with every single rep. He's a freak of nature. He's kind of like, I mean, really, they say that pound for pound, he's actually the thickest pro up there. You actually look at his height per square inch. I mean, he's probably up there almost the same size as when Ramy was at his absolute biggest and freakiest at like 310, 315.
So if this is correct, his Instagram is Hassan_Mustafa 92. So I'm going to take that as his birth year, which would make him 31. Only 31 this year. And maybe he hasn't had a birthday yet. Maybe he's still 30 years old.
I think that sounds about right. I think he is. I think he's actually younger than 33. That's what I had in my head. I think he's about 30, 31.
Yeah. Jesus. So gosh, I mean, and it's funny that how long have we been talking about this guy? Since 2018? Is that when we first saw him?
2018.
Yeah. I mean, so when we saw it, let's do the math. 28, that's 5 years. So yeah, he was like 27. Jesus. So he's still got plenty of time, and he's hitting his stride now. This is a guy we've been saying this guy should be top 10 or even higher at the Olympia. We've been saying that for a few years now. Obviously, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but I don't see that as being out of the realm of possibility at all this year. I think he's a solid top 10 look right here today.
It also shows what a good coach Chad is, because obviously the last show they did, that was their first outing of Chad and Hassan working together. And you know that Chad is going to do what Chad does. He's going to try and bring his guy in as big as freaky as possible, see what happens, and then make the necessary adjustments. So I'm really glad to see that we didn't just see the same version of, here he is Chad just trying to make his guys bursting full. Because with someone like Hassan, you try and bring him in bursting full and you push the food, that's going to go right to his stomach. And then, like I said, that's all his front shots completely destroyed. But and also the front shots are those ones you hit first. Like I said, when I saw the pictures on that group chat, I saw the frontal bicep. I was like, yeah, he's won that, because that front shot looks good. That frontal bicep looks good. So that means that every other angle is going to look absolutely incredible. So there's not really anyone to touch him in this show.
Yeah.
And this would have been a good look to go against Ian last week. If he could have had this look, this might have been a different outcome versus Ian. Because this Hassan, man, is because he's got so much of it. He's got a lot of everything, right? Nothing stands out, nothing overpowers. But if you're not on and you have that kind of look, you can't show your best. But when you're on and everything's showing, and it's the separation too in his quads. The quads are big, but they're clearly separated, and they got cross striation. You don't see a lot of cross striated quads, man.
Would this have beaten Ian?
Yes.
I think so. I think so. And I know we're going to get hate for that.
Listen,
we're going to get hate for it. But I actually think I actually had Hassan winning Toronto. So for this version, I think this would have beaten Ian. And I love Ian. You know I love Ian. I think he's awesome.
Oh, Ian's my dude. He's hilarious. I love the guy to death. But physique-wise, this is a very impressive bodybuilder today. You know, this is a guy that, you know, maybe how he would have did it in, you know, maybe New York. You know, you never know. We just don't know. But, you know, I'm very impressed today.
What do you think, Antonio?
I was there, and I would say this Hassan would have had a very good chance of beating Tonio.
Yeah.
And I love Tonio's physique, but this is just a lot to deal with right here. Look at this. That's just a lot of big, round, bubbly. I'd be curious as to what he weighs. I bet he's a lot lighter than we think.
Oh, he has to be. He has to be.
240s. You watch 240s.
Yeah, I mean that sounds.
But that's
right,
a big 240. That's a big. It looks like 250.
Well, he's one of these guys that you can drop 10 pounds off him, and because his waist will look smaller and everything else will look more, he'll look 10 pounds bigger. He's one of those guys. He's got that kind of muscularity.
That illusion to him.
I had no problem with Ian beating him in Toronto because the midsection he was not controlling it. It was bulging out. It was very distracting to me, and I love Hassan's physique. But this Hassan with the tighter, you know, Giles made a funny comment during the preview. He said, I want to hear this guy's stomach growling when he's on stage because, you know, someone like that, they need to be pretty much starving to have their midsection really small and tight. And I would bet that he's barely carved up for this or minimal amounts of food in his belly right now.
He's one of these guys that probably just lying there relaxed. He just looks like he's bursting full. Do you know what I mean? He probably just has a few sugars backstage, gets a bit of a pump, walks on stage, and feels flat as a pancake. But when you see the pictures in the video, he just looks full to bursting. He's got that kind of muscularity. He's one of those guys.
So look, right now it's looking like top three: Hassan, Phil, Stan DeLongo. Anybody can pronounce that? Anybody take French in high school? Longu?
No.
I took Spanish, which worked out pretty well, but
Stanimal.
Just call him Stanimal. But who else was in that first call out? We had Jason Lowe, and was it Chris DiDomenico? Was he in there?
Chris DiDomenico, I was shocked to see how good he looked. He was very conditioned. The shape isn't the greatest, and again, when you're dealing with two guys like, you know, Phil and Hassan, right? With those two guys aside, then, you know, Stan, Chris, and Jason Lowe, his look was, you mentioned he was like 217. He's close to that 212. But if this was a 212 physique, this is a very impressive physique. But you're getting overlooked because of the size of the other guys, right?
He was also Mohammed Al-Mansour. Looks like he was in that first call out too. Yeah,
Mohammed was very good. He was very. All these guys brought excellent condition today. I know we used to complain about how nobody's in shape now, but these guys brought excellent condition to the stage today.
I think a lot of our old man crusty 90s were the best complaining. I think we're doing a lot less of that lately. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, not too bad anymore.
Because I mean, we got a great crop of new guys over the past few years. Condition's been great. There's no more bubble guts. I'm finding less and less to complain about, and more to just praise with these guys lately. Honestly,
you learn to appreciate these. I mean, they're good guys, man. It's just that golden era, those glory days, to where we reminisce on, and the physiques were so different. You know what I mean? They weren't as big, but we all had those Grand Prix shows. Giles, those guys were peeled and crazy shredded, and just, you know what I mean? Like, it's just the memories we had. We compare them to this. We can't compare eras. It's hard to compare eras.
With their fanny packs.
Don't judge.
I still have a fanny pack.
So do I. Leather.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? You can put all your stuff in there. But I'm looking at the list, Mike. There were 13 guys. Anybody who was not in the first call out? You actually mentioned Matt Kuba from Illinois. This was the best Matt Kuba.
This was the best Matt. He was conditioned. He was bigger, conditioned. He always comes in good condition, but this was kind of where he just kind of nailed everything together. I thought he would get a little bit more love than he did. But I was incredibly impressed. He had gnarly muscle to him, and you see him sometimes off season. You're like, okay, but when he nails it together, he's a big guy, great shape, and I was very happy for him. You kind of wish the judge would have gave a little better look, but he brought excellent condition and nothing to be ashamed of.
You had to call. Go ahead, Josh.
Sorry. Could Jason Lowe, because I'm rooting for him because I'm on Global this week, would he get third over Stan, or do you think Stan's a lock for third?
I think Stan's a lock for third. I think Jason's, he was kind of overlooked at first, but they kind of brought him back towards the end of prejudging. And he didn't fade at all, Giles. Nothing faded. He's crazy full. Like the amount of fullness he has, he was bursting full, right? But his quads were shredded. He was hard, but Stan has got that freak factor to him, that kind of crazy, vascular, Rich Gaspari vascularity type look. But I think Stan today is a solid third.
Well, Jason's you said he was 218 at the last show. What was the last show? Was it Kelly?
Which one was he in?
I can't keep track of all the shows.
He was in Toronto, yeah.
Toronto. They got six, right?
Yeah. So it was fifth place there. Was he fifth?
Sixth.
Yeah. So and he said he said he was 218 in Toronto, and he said I'll be a few pounds lighter for this one. So he's probably about 215. So he's literally a pop in a diuretic away from 212 still, really. Isn't he?
Yeah, I would have said a big dump.
He's at that level where he's kind of like just stepping into the open. But I think a top 6 and a top 5, top 4 here, I think that's a good first year. I think that means you belong in the open. It's not like there's 2 years where he's come out of the 212 and he's doing really badly as an open. But I said to him, you should be proud. I said, because you look like you already belong as an open. And you're not losing that sweep on your legs, which you lose when you go down to 212. So he's already, I think he's doing well. But like I said, he's going to be like a kind of work in progress because he's still in his mid-30s, 36, I think he said now. So
younger. He's got a baby face. He was actually a classic physique pro first.
Yeah.
If he just one of these guys that just puts on 4 or 5 pounds a year, I think another couple of years, I think he's going to be. He's already doing well as an open. So if he can steadily make some, good quality progress, he's going to be a factor in the next couple of years.
And he looks like he belongs. Like he's not outclassed here at all whatsoever, right? He belongs in the open. It said gradual time, a few pounds here, a few pounds there, because he's got the condition. That's not an issue. The condition is never an issue. Yeah. It's just as he gets bigger and grows into his physique, he'll do very well.
Yeah. Well, bodybuilding's progress is the name of the game, and he's continually classic 212. Open. He's one of those guys that just like Sean Clarita is steadily making improvements every single year. And those are the guys you can't take your eye off because in a couple of years, they're the ones that are continually moving forward, whereas other guys sometimes stand still or go backwards. So keep an eye on him.
His weight for classic, I'm going to guess, was probably like 190. His classic was it 180?
180 something.
180 something. Wow. So let's just say 185 to round it off. So he's put on, who's good at math here? Anybody?
No, I'm out.
Pounds, 20, 30 pounds.
But 20 pounds, right? No, 185, 30. 205, 30 pounds. He's put on 30 pounds of muscle without blowing out his waist. And
he's not 6'5". He's a relatively short guy. So that's a lot of muscle, and it's all gone very evenly as well. Yeah. And I said to him, another thing. I said, as an open, you don't, because like usually when guys have to cut to make into a classic or a weight limit, it goes off the body part they least want it to go off. And for him, it was always that sweep on his legs. But now he's kind of come as an open. He said, I'm retaining the sweep. And also he looks probably harder because he's not depleting to get down. So he's not coming in looking tired and depleted. So he's kind of looking bursting full. So, but I think it was smart him coming in lighter. But I think he's, he's doing really, really well. And like I said, to do 3 different categories and to continually make progression. And the reason he's gone up into those other categories is because he's making progress. I think he's done really well. He's doing good.
That's the name of the game, right? That's kind of how you want to do it. It's just progress, not stay here. stagnant. You train to get bigger. Like I would assume a lot of these guys, that should be the goal, is to move up each category and not just pigeonhole yourself.
Secretly, I always have a little bit of a sneer when I see guys dropping from open into classic. I just think, you're like, okay, it's obviously the right move for you, but part of me deep inside is just thinking,
yeah,
the other way around.
Yeah. I was just trying to remind everyone, Stanimal started out as a men's physique pro.
Wow.
Board shorts. Yeah. So he's done.
Jeez.
He went from that to classic. He was already too tall and heavy to be 212, so he went straight to open. But Mike, I wanted to ask you, fifth place. Who do you got for fifth?
I'm gonna say Chris D. Let's go with Chris D. Chris D should be fifth, and then maybe Muhammad fourth.
Yeah. Okay.
Based on that, Stanimal third, Phil second, Hassan first. Jason Lowe could be fighting for that fifth, sixth spot, maybe. Okay. But I'm sure a lot of these guys will come back a little bit fuller tonight. And again, Eric Ramirez probably didn't have the best shape, but this guy he looks like he just loves bodybuilding, man. He was shredded, peeled. He just looks like he loves to train and loves to diet. And he looked like he suffered for this shit too, though. Like he had that old school, I'm hungry as hell, get shredded look. So props to him.
Yeah, I've seen him in phenomenal condition a few times, Eric. Giles, I have to interrupt this. We have to apologize to Urs Kalachinsky. We're being called.
I saw that.
We're being called out. So apparently he weighed in live. He weighed in at 270, and we're awful human beings, and we didn't call him a liar. We just said we did. You okay? I just said there's no. I said there's no way he's 270. So I guess you could construe that as calling him a liar, but. I stand corrected. He's 270, maybe he's 370. I don't know. He's a I just didn't think.
We should take that as a compliment. If we're calling him a liar because he's saying he's 270 and we think he's not, that's a compliment, guys. Come on. I should be like, of course it is. I mean, I'd be like, yeah, they think I'm, All
right, well, Tracy Taylor, I don't know if you're a male Tracy or a female Tracy, but he says, I bet they don't mention it with 5 exclamation points. We did mention it. So I want an apology from you. Anyway, we're not going to get one. Anyway. Yeah, so.
Mike, do you think Hassan can come back better tonight? And if he does, how can he do that?
Honestly, I don't know how much better he can get than tonight. He nailed it. You know, some guys, it's that they're a little off Friday in the morning and then come back Saturday feeling bigger. He really has nothing to do to come back better. I can't even say he needs to be fuller because he does it, but maybe, Chad knows something. Maybe he's a little full, come back a little bit fuller. But it's just, he just has that overwhelming amount of size and condition. And, every guy in the sport kind of has that one time where they like just nail it perfectly. This might be his, man. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to say like, he needs this. He needs nothing.
It's funny, isn't it? Because some guys after the prejudging, most of them would just think, okay, I need to come back better for the night show by getting maybe a bit of junk food or something, or anything, like pile the food in and fluids and stuff to try to come in bursting full. But with him, if I was his coach, I'd be the opposite, because I'd be like, look, no, you don't eat too much, because if you bloat that stomach, you're going to ruin your posing routine. And that picture that image you created, for the judges, that look you've had for the prejudging is going to be spoiled for the night show. Because, I mean, if it was, say, close, and he did that tonight and he blew his stomach out, and then somebody like Phil really came out, because Phil always tends to look better at the finals as well.
Yes.
It could go either way, but I think he's got this quite clearly. So I would imagine, but like I said before, I do like the fact that Chad really analyzed how, like, they got that starting point at Toronto, brought him in big and full, see what he looked like, and they've made the necessary adjustments by one show. This is only their second show working together. I like the fact that they've done that, and they've brought such a good package that really is the best physique that Chad could bring for Hassan, in such a short space of time. I really, really am impressed.
But does he shut it down now, you think, until the Olympia, or maybe go on Chicago or Tampa, or just kind of like to say forget it?
No. None of this 8 shows he did. No, he remember he got 13th at Olympia, and by the time he got to the Olympia, his body was so burnt out, and he did what he did. I mean, that was when all the Egyptians were doing all those shows. Do you remember? Mm. And he did.
Gracie, we accept your apology. I guess you accepted ours. It's all good. Sorry, guys.
Hey, Tracy.
Oh, man.
I said he was a liar.
Bloody liar.
No, we love hers. We love hers. We love hers.
Yeah, come on. We're huge Urs fans. We've had him on. He's been on Global a few times. I love Urs. He's like one of my favorite guys in the whole sport. Mike, have you eaten anything?
Yes, I had like a couple chocolate cookies and a Diet Mountain Dew. Now we're going to go get maybe a burger and some fries, take a power nap, and gear up for the finals.
You had your greens?
Greens?
Yeah, oh yeah, Chuck Giles. Come on, bro. What do you think? What do you think, dude?
Talking about digestive enzymes,
yeah.
I think.
We've had greens all day and night, so yes.
Okay.
Good man.
All right, so we're trying to figure out the final times. So they're going to start NPC finals at 5. How long did the judging take today, Mike? When did
it wasn't that bad. It was maybe about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours hour and a half at the most. It wasn't super crazy. No, so it was good. So maybe like 6:30ish. But again, show start probably late. Yeah. So 5:15 start, maybe 6:30ish maybe.
Yeah, what was the last show, Jen, we did remote? Was it last weekend? No, there was no for Europe. That Europe show that
Same.
2 hours started 2 hours late. My goodness gracious!
Oh my God.
Ron, can we just address this Joe Linder, this guy, the chest guy? He died of a brain aneurysm. There's people have mentioned it on that. I mean, it's like, I've seen him on training at Binus Gym. And obviously I've seen him on Instagram and he's very well known and he's got this following. And what happened? I mean, I think, why are these people dying so young? I mean, it's crazy.
We're not medical professionals. We didn't do the autopsy. All I heard is he was complaining of a pain in his neck like a couple days before. I actually did a live video a few hours ago just to address it real quick. And I looked up what an aneurysm was because I don't know that much about these things. And it's like a burst blood vessel. It can come from high blood pressure. It can come from a few different things. And, people were speculating, it's this, it's recreational, it's PD, nobody knows. But whatever the cause was, it's kind of irrelevant. This is a 30-year-old man. And
30.
All three of us are at a point in our lives where we can look back when we were 30 and say, man, we were kids at 30. My life was just beginning at 30, really. So that's, it seems like he had this wonderful life and everything, but he still had so much life left to live.
Yeah.
The impact he made at such a young age, 8.4 million followers on Instagram, great personality. Can you imagine if he had been able to continue on as a star in our industry for another 10 years? How many more people he could have reached? So it's just really sad.
So sad. 30 years old, and it's like I had my issues last year, but so something like that can just
quickly
take you out at any moment. I mean, that's scary. That it's just that's what I really, really feel for his family and his friends, and also that Binus Gym. It seems like a real community. That gym. I had Lewis Breed, who trains there, and opposite Andrew Jackdon. And I've really, for the last few months, I've been hearing more and more and more about this famous gym that is really probably one of the best gyms in the world. And I sent you that video on the group chat just this morning, that link of like the guided tour of the gym, and it looks absolutely amazing. So I can imagine, in that kind of community, in that kind of gym, I bet they're really, really feeling it today. So my heart really goes out to those people, the members and his friends, and because like I said, it seems like a real a kind of thriving community at that Binus Gym in Dubai. Is it Dubai? Dubai.
Yeah, it's Abu Dhabi, but I know it's Dubai. I mean, Oxygen Gym, that's like a family and community, but it seems to me like they're more serious there. It doesn't seem like a fun place necessarily. Not that the gym, but the Binus Gym, all the footage and the videos I've ever seen, that Andrew Jack training with all these other people, Larry Wheels. It seems like a really fun place they train hard, but they have a great time and a lot of good friendships forged among these guys. They all did videos with each other, collabs and all that.
Everyone collaborates, don't they? I think that's something I'm seeing a lot more of as well now, is people collaborating, because I think they see the value. Like Derek Lunsford did that thing with Ronnie Coleman a few weeks ago, and that blew up. And Joan Pradels from Spain has just done one with Derek Lunsford in the last few days. Samson's been over training with bloody everyone. I mean, he's back in the UK now, and he's shutting it down for the Olympia now. He's not going anywhere till November now. Because how is Samson? I said I message him regularly, and I said, mate, because he goes back and forth. He doesn't stay out in America. He likes to go back and forth. When he did the Arnold last year and he got fourth, He flew back on the Tuesday and then flew back out on the Friday to compete in Boston.
No.
I said, mate, for the sake of 3 days, just stay out there. He went, no, Marlena's got to get back for a job, and I missed the dog, and because he loves his dog, Cerberus, that big, massive dog.
Yes.
And he said, I don't mind the flight. So he's been going back and forth. But my point is, he's been going back and forth and somehow managing to just not only maintain, but improve that physique. So
and stay lean.
So imagine it now that he's back to like end of June, start of July, and he's going to shut it down now until November. I mean, I think all I'll say is I think Nick Walker is gonna eat his words in come November.
Yeah, I mean,
I got to agree with you there, Giles. That's going to be a scary problem. He's so big and so round, and he's still in shape. He's like 330 with abs. That's unheard of.
Yeah, it's going to be November's a long ways away, but it's going to be right there in Orlando where you are right now, Mike. Is it the same convention center?
Convention center, yeah.
Oh, it's the same building.
Spot.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Second home.
It's that long ass walk across the walkway from the hotel.
Oh yeah. And we got lost this morning, so I sweated a little bit out this morning too. So
the first time I tried to find it from the hotel to there, I went to the wrong end of the convention center. It took me like 20 minutes to go around. It's huge, that building.
Humongous.
Orange County Convention Center.
Ron,
yeah.
I'm going to put you both on the spot now. Okay, now you've been to the Olympia in Orlando and you've been to it in Vegas. If you had to choose where the Olympia stays for the next 5 years, which would it be?
Orlando, because I'm in Tampa. That's the selfish part of me. 2 hours away, I get to see the Olympia every year.
I mean, selfishly, I would say Orlando, because I'm not a Vegas person, but I know that the prestige, the glamour of Vegas, it's just more in line with the whole Olympia, the aura of it's this huge Super Bowl for us. So Vegas is a place for that. That's where they have prize fights and all that stuff. So it just seems more appropriate. But yeah, selfishly, of course, I like Orlando. It's like a 2-hour flight for me. Vegas is just, to me, Vegas, I'm going to alienate some people here, but unless you're a very wealthy person, Vegas is not that fun. It's not a fun place for people who make an ordinary living. If you have crazy money, Vegas is like a playground. I won't even go into all the things you can do with Vegas with that money, but suffice to say,
I'll write my memoirs one day of my trips to the 2001 and 2002 Olympia, and I'll definitely change names for the sake of safety.
Exactly, you better. Oh Lord. Okay. And someone's pointing out the tickets went on sale again because people were messaging me like crazy. What about the Olympia tickets? I'm like, how do you think I'm connected with the Olympia and ticket sales? What would make you think that? I go there on a press pass, and I'm very grateful for that and everything, but I have nothing to do with we don't. But tickets are available for the Olympia, MrOlympia.com, guys. If you better get them quick, because
once
they're gone, they're gone. Yeah.
We're getting ours this weekend.
I agree.
Mike, when was your first ever? I know you've been to quite a few Arnold Classics, but what was your first ever Olympia you went to, mate?
1994, when your boy should have lost to Sean Ray.
Oh, Sean Ray.
Sean Ray beat him pretty good that year, in my opinion, Giles. Sorry about that.
I still think that's one of Kevin LeBron's best ever looks.
Kevin, what's funny? From the 94 Arnold to the 94 Olympia, Kevin probably put on about 20 pounds of muscle that year. He was so big at the Olympia, but I would have had Giles, Sean, Kevin, Dorian, Paul, Aaron Baker.
Oh, Aaron,
then Paul Rickentrell, 12th, and then Roland Jurlot.
I'm glad you said that.
That's how I would have had that year done. And Linda Murray, I love Linda, but Laura Caval whooped her butt that year as well.
Ooh, wow.
She should have. That wasn't even close that year, Giles. It wasn't. I love Linda, but she's the GOAT. But Laura Caval should have been Miss Olympia that year.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, 94 was the first year Dorian. He had just torn the bicep that year.
Torn the bicep, bloated a little bit. Yeah, total tan.
How do you win an Olympia with a? Because he didn't get it fixed or anything. It was retracted all halfway up to the shoulder.
Yeah, I'm a Sean Ray fanboy. That was a Dream Girls routine too, so I got to see that. Diana Dennis's last show.
my first Olympia was 2001, and that was Sean Ray's last ever show, and he posed to that same music, and that was the music I saw when I bought his Lifestyles the Fit and Famous when I was, I think, 15 years old.
Yep.
I remember watching that posing routine from the 87 Nationals over and over again, and I thought that's how all posing routines were. I thought that was the standard. So then when I went to a local bodybuilding show, I was like saying to my mate, I said, what's wrong with these people? I said, are they, honestly, I thought there was like something wrong with them. I did. I was a kid. I was like 16. I was like, have they got physically something wrong with them? I said, because they're not posing like Sean Ray. And he was like, and he said, well, I think that's, you've just watched the best of the best, your first routine. And that's basically what you think the standard of posing is. So, yeah, I was a bit disappointed. And I was like, we're doing all these weird poses. I was like, what are they doing? That's not posing.
Yeah. My first Olympia was right there in Orlando, 1991.
Wow.
Lee Haney won his 8th title and retired at the age of 31 with 8 Olympia titles. And Dorian, that was the first time I saw Dorian. And to this day, that tracksuit story, everyone's told it, but I saw him backstage like, this is the guy they think's going to challenge Lee Haney. Doesn't look like much to me. And then I see him on stage. I'm like, oh, all right, never mind. I get
it. Ron.
Yeah.
A few weeks after that 1991 Olympia, I was 15 years old, and we in Pumping Press, Peter McGough's newspaper, right in the back, it came out. I got it the day it came out, and literally there's an advert for a Sean Ray seminar, and he's doing like a European tour and a world tour 5 weeks after the 91 Olympia, because Sean Ray was my favorite. And I thought, I said, mate, I said this seminar in London at Andrew LeBlanchette's gym. I said at this hotel or whatever, and then it's back to Archway Gym, Ian Dow and Andrew LeBlanchette's gym. I said, this is in a week. I said, should we go? He said, go on, we'll get the train, then we'll stay at my sister's. So we got the tickets. They were like £20. I got the VIP, and I had a little tape recorder, and I was recording it. And I had it on tape where I said, I put my hand up and I said, excuse me. I said, what's your opinion on Dorian Yates? I said, this new guy. And he just went, oh, man. He says, just as I've just started feeling like I'm getting close to Lee Haney, he said, this guy called Dorian, he says, I've got a feeling this guy's going to be a real thorn in my side.
Yeah. Wow. Right. He was. I remember Lee Labrada telling me that about Flex Wheeler after 93.
Wow.
So that's when Lee Labrada said, I think it's time to go. Because this is a whole new group of guys with Dillette and Flex and Cormier the year after that. It was just a whole new crop of guys. But
dude, when Dillette walked out in 93 at the Arnold, it was a silhouette. It was just silhouette, right? He came out, I swear to God, the audience gasped and the earth stopped. It was the craziest thing. It looked the most craziest thing I've ever seen in my entire. And Flex looked awesome, but Paul was like an alien. It was just the most crazy. I was like, oh my God, what is this thing I'm looking at? It was one of those oh shit moments that'll stick in your head forever. Like I'll never forget that moment.
Can you imagine going to the 93 Ironman and on walk 2 rookies?
I was there.
Like Paul Dillette. And you got like Vince Taylor and Lee Labrada, and I bet they were looking at them backstage, thinking, "Holy shit, who are these new guys?"
Yeah, and Vince won everything in '92. Remember the Arnold, the Ironman? He killed it in '92, up early in March. Pittsburgh show, everything.
No joke. Vince was no joke. Anyway, let's wrap it up. Let's let Mike get some food. I'm gonna get some food.
I want to keep going.
I know you want to keep talking about 1993, but let's wrap it up. So, guys.
I was 17.
Well, Giles, I do not expect you to be on the second part later tonight because it's going to be like tomorrow in the UK by the time we do that. It's probably going to be, you're 5 hours ahead. If we go on at like 8 o'clock at the list, it's too late, Giles. Go to bed.
I've got tomorrow, so I need my beauty sleep. I've got to be focused.
Exactly. You got to stay tigery. Stay tigery.
I've even got some modafinil to take, so I'm really focused for tomorrow.
Oh, geez. Cool. Yeah, because for those of you who don't know, if you watch MD Global Muscle every Wednesday, Giles does all the interviews like all day and all night on Sunday. So it's a big in the studio. It's a big to do. That's why his show looks as professional as it does. It's a whole day and night of very concentrated studio work and interviews.
Days of editing.
Yeah, it's true. So, let's wrap it up, guys. We appreciate you joining us on the chat. Appreciate you watching us live from Orlando, the Orlando Pro. And most of all, we appreciate Mike Cox his wife, Mandy, providing us with awesome coverage. Mandy took all those awesome pictures we saw and continues to support Mike in his bodybuilding obsession all these years. Puts up with them the way our wives put up with us.
Yes.
So that's it, guys. Join us in a few hours. It's probably going to be around, I'm going to say possibly 7:30 Eastern time, a rough estimate of when we're going to come back for the finals, maybe 8 o'clock. We're hoping not too much later because we're old and we need our sleep. But some of you young cats out there are up for days. So that is it. Thanks for joining us for Muscular Development's judging report from the Orlando Pro. Big Mike Cox, Giles Tiger Thomas, and Ginger Racy behind the scenes in Long Island. And that's it. Thank you so much. We will see you later on tonight.